welcome to another discussion. I'm going to answer question 12 and 13 for the film Africans in America and the reading Rethinking the History of Capitalism. So, for the first question, in the film, three things that I did not know beforehand. I didn't know about Anthony Johnson, that they call him an outlier, an alien, that he had his own homestead, that he ran a business, right? And then after his death, his property got sold because the courts defined him as not what he was and what his heritage had suggested that he was a settler. It was very interesting how easy that happened, right? Same thing with a lot of the information that we look at around the contributions of women to society and how they can just be eradicated like that, which is crazy. I didn't know about the punishments for running away. I knew there were some, but I didn't know the extent of which, and it reminded me of King Leopold in the Republic of Congo, before it was Republic of Congo, whenever there was rubber farming in the trees, and if they didn't come back with a certain amount of rubber, they would get their hands cut off. And I thought it was very interesting, the theme of, I forget, there's a word for it, but removing of limbs and extremities and castration as a punishment. That being a theme is quite interesting. And I also didn't know about Fort Mose, the first all-black settlement, a place where they could be free. The fact that I didn't know that existed at all is crazy, because we know about Jamestown, we know about Plymouth Rock, we know about our settlements. The lapse in history available to everybody is so significant. And that's just the thing that is consistently sticking with me, is that I have to take this class in order to learn about these things that happen, right? I know I have the ability to watch these documentaries on my own time, right? But if I'm learning about American history, I want to be learning about all the people who are participating in American history, or U.S. history, or the world history. I didn't know about any of this in world history, which is crazy, because this is world history, and they don't talk about any other perspective. It's psychotic. Rethinking the history of capitalism. What was the thing? The takeaways from the article is, it took me a while to kind of understand what this article was talking about. I kind of had to reread it 8 times in order to get it. But what I came up with is that the reframing of the studies around capitalism and how capitalism formed is directly impacted by gender and sexuality, and not sexuality, gender and slavery. There's a third one, but that gender is more so coupled with sexuality than it is with capitalism. That was very interesting. That it wasn't this idea that it doesn't pertain to the formation of capitalism, despite it actually being the most crucial part of the growth of capitalism, how it came into being. When you talk about America, you're like, yeah, free market, yeah, this happened, this is how our market works, this is how it came to be, right? It's because people wanted to have their own economic freedom or whatever, but it's not it doesn't rely on that. It relied on slavery. There's a whole market that we just ignore whenever we talk about that. Slavery is inseparable, is what it says on page 3. Slavery is inseparable from the American economic development. I also thought it was very interesting the struggle of scholars to bring this information together. How much people struggle. Same reason that I'm struggling with the idea. I wouldn't be struggling with the idea if I was consistently told beforehand, in all of my knowledge about capitalism and how it came to be, that these are integral parts that were so that way, and I can make assumptions about that, but the amount of peer-reviewed articles that I'm reading in classes about this topic, it's that compared to that, right? And it being those two, gender and race, being secondary to the formation of capitalism, other than the formation of society and capitalism not being associated with that. it's very interesting, and it took me a very long time to make sense of this article, I will say, but that's probably just my own um, reading of scholarly articles. Is just the language, you know. Anyways, thank you.